I finally decided to make a TikTok account. I've never really been into TikTok because there's just a lot of dumb videos on there. But recently, as you probably already know if you've been viewing the channel, I've been doing a lot of reactions to TikTok compilations. So of course, there is definitely some funny videos on there. There's like, what's the dumbest thing Americans have ever said to you compilations and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a TikTok after all. And I'm going to get on there and just see, straight from the source. Instead of trying to find TikTok content on YouTube, I'm just going to go straight to the source and I'm going to find videos on TikTok that I can react to as well. So I was scrolling through and I found this one right here. And it says, America sucks and the whole world knows it, which definitely there's a lot of stuff in this country that does suck for sure. It's not all bad, just like with TikTok. TikTok's not all bad. Her TikTok account is called Maddie City. And her description on this says, America's fall from grace. Don't believe the propaganda that we are the best. We have a poor education system, no health insurance, rampant propaganda about the rest of the world, and an increasingly radicalized population. Sadly, it looks like this is the beginning of the end of America's hegemony, unless young people can change things. And of course, like I said, the links to the original video will be in that description section down below. I've not watched it yet. I'm just going to watch it with you guys, right? We're going to watch it together. We're going to see what Maddie City has to say about this. I believe she has some good points, but again, it's not all bad. Certainly better than some countries in the middle of Africa. I think it's middle of the road, right? We're not the worst country, but we're certainly not the best, right? So there's good things, there's bad things, just like everywhere. But let's get to it.
America is not what it once was. I've got some bad news for people who don't travel internationally. The world hates us, okay?
There you have it, guys. The world hates us Americans. Bad news for you Americans that don't already know. But I kind of figured the world doesn't have a fond outlook of the United States, right? Hell, half the people here don't even have a fond outlook.
We're not the big dogs. We don't have the clout that we once had. We aren't even statistically on top of anything, education or anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I've traveled a lot internationally. Over COVID, obviously, I stopped. And there's always been an underlying tone that America is dangerous. But, we run Hollywood, so a lot of the media that is consumed by people in other countries is still American. However, I'm on my first international trip since COVID, and it has gotten worse.
So the thing about the Hollywood that she's saying, that's basically what a lot of people think of America. Like the people that's like, oh yeah, America's great, I want to go there. They're seeing what Hollywood has made. Like half of the Hollywood movies aren't even a proper representation of how it is here. Like it's just Hollywoodized, if you know what I mean.
I have heard from every nationality that America is dangerous, but I arrived in Indonesia, which is a country that, a lot of people aim to get out of and go to America. And the first thing that my taxi driver says to me is that he's afraid of America because of all the poppy seeds that we're taking and all the jazz powder that people are using. And
she's talking about drug use, I would assume. Yeah, look at Skid Row in Los Angeles. The homeless doing the drugs, walking around looking like zombies. It's insane. It's like looking at another world.
He's convinced that people are walking around the U.S. like zombies.
Oh, wow. Wow. Literally the exact same word or the same exact term that I just used. That's crazy. Again, guys, I've not seen this before. That's interesting.
That's what's on the internet. That's what these people are seeing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really big lesson if you are sheltered and are not leaving the U.S. We don't got it. We don't got it anymore. People don't want to live in America. People aren't eager to live in America. When I was in Europe, a lot of the kids said their parents wouldn't let them go to America because they were afraid they were going to get popped by the police.
We do have a migrant crisis. So of course there is a huge influx of migrants coming to America. But again, they're from countries that aren't as good as America. Countries that are probably worse when it comes to violence, like Venezuela, Ecuador, all that. Those countries are run by cartel gang members. There's shootings, there's people getting killed. The poverty levels are insane down there. So like I said, it just depends on what your spectrum is. Where are you coming from, right? If you're coming from Europe, America's probably worse. If you're coming from some of these countries in South America, like Venezuela and stuff like that, then of course, we have the asylum seekers that's, crossing across the southern border, which is becoming an issue. Our country can't handle that influx. They're all going to New York, Chicago, places like that. and the system's getting overwhelmed with trying to find resources to help them and stuff. And it's a very hot topic. It's a very divided topic here in the country, but that's not what we're here for. We're going to find out what she is talking about.
Like, those are the fears. The only fear that Americans have when their children travel overseas is that they're going to be like in the movie Taken, which is a very small possibility. And they just use that as a fear. I don't even like, that's not really even a founded fear.
By the way, Taken is an amazing movie. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Liam Neeson, his daughter goes to somewhere in Europe. I think Czech Republic, possibly. Not quite sure. Haven't seen it in a while. But she gets kidnapped. You know, she gets snatched up by like people that's into like human trafficking and stuff. And then he just spends like the next hour and a half of the movie going and kicking everybody's ass, tracking her down. He finally tracks her down, and it's a great movie. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it.
People aren't taking Americans when we go, because you know how big of a hell case they would raise if some little white girl went missing? That's not what's happening.
Not necessarily. There's so many missing cases that happen every single year that I'm pretty sure like something like 200,000 people go missing every year, and they don't find them. They don't know where they are. They don't find no bodies. They don't turn up. Don't know if it's human trafficking. Don't know if it's just serial killers hiding them really well. No clue. No clue. Aliens might be coming down and snatching them up off the earth for all we know. They just go missing completely. So, and they don't always raise, I mean, yeah, sure, certain cases for sure gets a lot of media spotlight and stuff like that. But there's a lot of it that kind of gets swept under the rug and goes unnoticed for sure.
But what is happening is other people from other nations are going to America and bad things are happening to them. So, just a reminder, we ain't shit. We ain't shit. America is not what it once was.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Let's see what the comments say. It says, one person says, BS, everyone still wants to come here, look at our migrant issue. If you don't like it, leave. Well, again, they're coming from terrible countries. They're coming from Venezuela, Ecuador, places like that that's ran by cartel, like Mexico and stuff. It's bad there. So, of course, this is a step up from where they're coming from. Somebody says, Swedish here. You couldn't pay me to go to the U.S. for a vacation. Somebody says, I wanted to live in America growing up. Now I wouldn't even consider it. Somebody says, finally, an American acknowledges it. Well, not finally, because I've acknowledged it for quite some time. A lot of the videos that I've watched have acknowledged it. It's just not a widespread thing here. Tucker Carlson finally just realized it when he went to Russia and realized that in Moscow, even after sanctions, the groceries there are ridiculously cheap compared to here in the United States. The infrastructure is insane. There's no graffiti at the bus station. The bus train terminals, whatever it was that he went to, it's not gross and sickly like you have here. You don't have homeless people just sleeping all over the place. You're not walking in people's feces or puke, like you would have like if you went to New York, right? New York's our biggest city. Moscow's their biggest city. I think it's the biggest city in Europe, actually. And it is clean. The grocery store that he went to get the very cheap groceries, considering the prices here, you would pay at least 3 times that price here. And he got a bunch of groceries, like enough groceries to feed a family of 4 for a week, and he paid $100 US. That would cost at least $300 US here. The grocery store was insanely immaculate looking compared to what it is here. Now, I'm not advocating for Putin or anything. By all means, I don't like the guy. I think he's very terrible. But you can't just, oh, well, I don't like Putin, so I'm just going to completely acknowledge the infrastructure or the country itself, The average Russian doesn't like Putin either. The infrastructure was built before Putin was president. So it has nothing to do with him as a person or his agenda, if you will. But yeah, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to realize that America isn't what it's been made out to be, right? Another person says, so true. You couldn't pay me to visit the USA. It's not just safety. It's also food quality for me. Yeah, that's another thing is the food quality is piss poor. Somebody says there's travel warnings on the UK government website about going to the USA. Very interesting. I didn't know that. Somebody says I'm from the UK and growing up, I wanted to live in the US so much, but now I'm 28. You couldn't pay me. Still a great country, but also a lot of things wrong. I agree. There's some greatness here, just like everywhere, just like Venezuela. I'm sure there's a lot of amazing things in Venezuela. You know, I'm sure they have amazing food, just like Mexico. Mexican food to me is world class, top notch. One of my favorite kinds of food you can get is Mexican food. I wouldn't want to live there, but they have beautiful, beautiful scenery. They have, you know, the Mayan and the Aztec ruins. You know, there's some beautiful cities there. On the show Who is the Mole? They're in Mexico right now, and it looks amazing in Mexico City. You know what I mean? But of course, there's the bad too. There's cartel that runs things. There's a lot of drugs. They're rampant. You know, violence is crazy through the roof and stuff like that. So, you know, there's good and bad everywhere. But anyways, I think that's where I'm going to end this video. I don't want to make it too long, guys. But just so you know, Americans are waking up. The world is waking up, guys. We're starting to realize what's really going on. You guys have a super fun, awesome day, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.